Hey, deserving listeners, Darcey and Stacey, let's watch.
Georgie, too much of myself, and I want to get a piece of me back.
Ladies, sit down, please.
Sit down.
Mask.
Yes. I think once I get the surgery, even though I might deal with some physical pain because of the surgery and stuff, I feel like I'll heal along with that on the inside too.
Okay, I've been commenting lately on how her procedures and the experience that she has with the medical procedures is wrapped up in the other things that we talk about, her attachment issues, her worries of losing people, the pain that she's been through emotionally, relationally. And it was interesting phrasing. She said, it will be painful, the procedures that I'm going to go through, as she well knows, because she's been through procedures in the past. I feel like as I heal from that pain, I will also heal on the inside. On one hand, everyone frames their life differently, sometimes coinciding with how I might relate to, and sometimes not. Some people frame their life in ways that, like there are people who run marathons, and that's a huge part of how they express and narrativize their life. I'm going to run this marathon because I want to honor the memory of my father who died, or something like that. And I can kind of relate to that. I would never do that. I can't stand long distance running. I've never liked, even at my top conditioning in high school, when I played sports all the time. I was never a long distance runner. So I hate even 5Ks, let alone a marathon. So people frame their life differently, and maybe this is one of those cases where Darcey's just like, look, as I go, I wanted to get the procedures because I like to do that, and a added benefit, and maybe even a motivation, is I feel like she said this before, I feel like I'm renewing the outside and the inside. As I go through the pain on the outside, I'm also, and I heal from the pain on the outside, I'm also healing from the pain on the inside. So on one hand, I can honor that. Everyone experiences life differently, and we want to be very careful, not only culturally, but maybe even gender-wise, or just everyone respecting other people's lived experience. I don't want to impose my values onto her and say like she's weird for having that. On the other hand, it's possible that this is a desperation, some desperate attempt to heal the inside pain that she will continue to suffer from well after the pain of the procedures fade. But it is a defense to convince herself that it will help that when it might not. We could imagine a situation where Darcey doesn't feel like she has any other way to heal the pain on the inside. And by the way, the pain on the inside is probably what motivated the paranoia, which motivated the accusations, which hurt Georgie, which caused him to get slightly defensive, which caused you to get more hurt and push him away, and more pain is added. So it begins with pain and ends with pain. And we could imagine that in this state, she is desperate. She doesn't know where to turn. She probably is demoralized about dating. What else do you have? And so maybe this is some defense. And even if it was that and it doesn't work, sometimes you just gotta get through the pain times and just have hope that what you're doing will help. On the other hand, if she never stops and says, what's going on here? What is my personality? What are my issues? What are my undifferentiated issues? What are my relational traumas? How do they affect me? How are they causing me to see things in a distorted way? How are they motivating defenses? Are they actually causing the problems that I am seeking to avoid? Without any of that, i.e. therapy, then you're bound to repeat it, as we've seen.
To look younger because of our age difference. Yeah. But I know he loves me the way I am, and you know what? You only live once. True. Stacey and I, as kids, we were very introverted and not very comfortable in our own skin because we were bullied. We're in school.
All right. great. We're going to get some history, which I always appreciate. And I don't remember her saying that they were bullied, but I do remember imagining that it happened based on some details they gave. But she just said they were bullied. I also think they might have moved around a lot. So that would explain a lot of things, potentially. Let's see what they say.
Some people would make fun of us. They would call us troll dolls or munchy cheese because, we had curly hair, we were quiet, we were short. We'd sit together by ourselves at lunch and we didn't have any friends. Felt like
Yeah, we knew that detail. And, I've been always trying to figure out where do Darcey's relational traumas, if they exist at all, come from. I could see them coming from the family. The parents have an interesting dynamic. The people in the family, they tend to treat Darcey and Stacey's mom like she's frivolous, like she doesn't matter. I don't know. They haven't shown much of it, but it seems like there's an element of that. And the father comes across kind of like a know-it-all, kind of insecure know-it-all. I don't know. He seems like a nice enough guy, and the mom seems nice enough as well. So it's hard to know what went on there. The parents probably had a lot of fighting. I think they divorced at some point. The dad worked abroad, and so maybe they felt some abandonment from that. I don't know. But they're saying they were bullied. They were, treated badly, and that can absolutely cause all the problems that we've seen. We tend to downplay bullying or mistreatment in school, but those relationships are very important, and those traumas that can happen at school can stick with you the rest of your life in the same way that being physically abused or emotionally abused by your parents can last your entire life. So it's too bad. So how would that work exactly? I don't know, and there's no way to prove this scientifically, but a way of conceptualizing it is they said they're introverted. Sometimes people equate introversion with being shy, which that's not the same thing. You can be extroverted and shy. You can be extroverted and have social anxiety. But let's say that they kept to themselves, they were reserved and maybe shy, probably because they were being put down. And they were targeted. Kids can be cruel, and sometimes they will target as a group people who seem easy targets, and shy people are often considered to be easy targets. So they're being made fun of, they're being rejected. That causes them to be even more shy, more uncomfortable, more need to stick together, but not out of love, out of desperation, which we've seen an element of that between Stacey and Darcey, that sometimes their love seems based on surviving other things rather than pure love for each other. I don't know. They seem to get along pretty well. Anyway, so they're young, they're being bullied, they're being put down, they're maybe even being made to feel afraid for their lives. I mean, bullying can, take a dark turn sometimes, where people are threatening your life. You feel like someone's going to hurt you, even if it's like someone's just going to push you down the stairs. Well, I mean, that can kill you. Or if it's someone, you just think someone's going to punch you in the face, that can be terrifying for kids, anyone really. So you're going through that for years and years and years. You're terrified of other people. Maybe occasionally you make friends, but then you get rejected. You can just feel like no one loves me. I'm not good enough. And that's what happens, tragically, is the abuse gets internalized. It's one thing to walk around and be bullied and say well, there's something wrong with them. I don't like being bullied, but it's not me, it's them. Most people, regardless of age, will say it is me. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with the way I look. There's something wrong with who I am. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not interesting enough. I'm not pretty enough, or something. And that is why this is happening, which is just the true tragedy, because then the abuse gets on the inside.
And that affected our self-esteem a little bit. So that's why we want to be the better version of ourselves.
Okay, so she's saying that it hurt our self-esteem, and these procedures help us to be the better version of ourselves. Like a way of saying, screw you, bullies from my childhood, look at me now. And it's not my way of dealing with things. It's not pathological. It only becomes pathological to the individual if it doesn't actually address the issue. If it does, then great, who am I to say? But it's possible, given what we've seen, that this chasing of the perfect body and face and hair and everything, the way things look, has some temporary boosting to self-esteem effects, but not ultimately healing from the pain underneath. I don't know, though.
And what's this surgery going to do for both of your self-confidence?
Yeah, I feel that, I can take on whatever I choose in life, whether that's a new relationship or just, not let anyone control me.
Interesting. A lot is wrapped up in that statement. I'm really glad when the producers actually ask questions that I'm often wanting them to ask. They're saying, okay, you were bullied. How does the surgery and the surgeries play into this? She's like, well, I feel like now I can take on things. I have the confidence. I can maybe meet a new person, maybe take on other things that I'll have the self-confidence. Okay, maybe. But if I were her therapist, I would really drill down on that, because we would think that strength or self-confidence or believing in oneself, saying that I'm good enough, shouldn't come, at least primarily, from the outside. It should come from qualities of who I am. I'm loyal, I'm thoughtful, I'm conscientious, I care, I have empathy, I listen well, I'm a fun person, these kinds of things. Now, again, I don't want to impose, you could say it's a cultural thing. I think it's kind of an innate human thing to find those things to be much more enduring and central to who we are. It's one thing to walk down the street and have people say like, oh, you look good. Oh, I like your outfit. Oh, your hair looks great. That can make us feel good for sure. But it's a whole other thing when someone says, I'm proud of who you are. You are a shining beacon of goodness in the world. That is I think my culture, or the way that I see the world, is someone's going to be able to carry that with them much longer, with much more self-confidence, really, than being seen for what's on the outside. So, but when you don't think you can find those good qualities on the inside, then you will resort to anything, even for temporary hits of self-esteem.
The Jessies, the Toms, the Georgies, they're just as bad as the bullies in high school.
Did you put weight on?
Interesting, yeah. That was a terrible moment when Tom said that. And I think he did apologize for it and felt bad during a tell-all or something. He was like, yeah, that was awful that I said that. But yeah, it was pretty awful. But interesting connection there, that she's saying we were bullied growing up. We were together against the bullies. It was, constant attacks from the outside, but we were together, and we, one of the ways we coped with it was saying we're strong, we're not weak, we're not them, it's us against them, they're wrong. Interesting that she says the Jessies, the Toms, the Georgies of the world, they are the bullies, which is, I think, a total displacement from that time. Now, with Jessie and maybe Tom, it made some sense. With Georgie, it doesn't seem to make any sense, and that's what happened. So maybe we have this direct line in terms of how they see it, the transference or the displacement that I've been talking about, that the pain that has not been resolved because she hasn't been in therapy or hasn't had time to heal from that, or doesn't know if she can heal from it or something, is still there, which makes sense, years of being bullied, gets transferred on to these men. We could see boys being mean to them, right? Maybe boys they even were romantically interested in. And then we see Darcey and Stacey and maybe other friends banding together against the others and convinced that bullying has happened just because there seems to be some confusion or some worry, because in the past when they were growing up, it was probably correct. They go to a new school, there's a new social context, and there is some ambiguity. Or wait, are we being bullied or not? And then that happened a number of times where they was like, look, when we start to see even the slightest hint of negativity, assume that this is toxic, assume that they're out to get us, because that's what's happened to us in the past. Maybe they're applying that template to Georgie unfairly.
Good, same here.
Start using this stuff for the face.
Mm-hmm. You see a difference?
Yeah, your skin look different, better than
Really?
Darcey's. Still have wrinkles.
Boy.
He is kind of beautiful. What's in it for you? She is not on the same league as you are.
Yeah, I don't think I reacted to that scene with Georgie when, because I was like, did he just say what I thought he said? So what he was, or maybe it just went over my head, but they're showing in a context now that seems to be indicating that he was being a jerkface, which it sounds like he was. He was saying to Stacey, what cream are you using? And she's like, oh, and I'm using this kind of cream. And Georgie says, oh, it looks great. It's much better than Darcey's, implying Darcey looks like crap because she has wrinkles or something. So yeah, that's pretty awful. And then this scene way back then, remember this guy? I mean, each to their own, but the things that he was saying, I just remember thinking, can anyone just give Darcey a break here? Like, yeah.
For some reason, I keep picking the bad ones. These negative, toxic relationships have left scars on my heart, but I'm ready to not let the past hurt me anymore.
That would be great. I'm ready to not let the past hurt me anymore. Great goal. You probably need therapy for that. You can't just say, I'm just not going to let it hurt me. And I think she said that other things along those lines in the past of, I'm just not going to let this get to me. I'm just going to move on. And I get that. One, because what else can you do if you know no other way? But two, it's kind of an American thing of positivity, optimism. I can do this. I don't need anyone else. And it's a toxic idea. You could call it toxic Americanism. You have toxic masculinity. This is toxic Americanism. The past is with us, and pain is a part of life, and suffering is a part of life, and you can't just ignore it and hope that it will go away, because it won't. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.